Okay, so this is the Honda back seat. And if you remember in the last video, it was hitting back here. It was hitting the Rambler fender wells. Everything else is Honda floor, so it'll fit, except for that. My original plan was to come in here, take the hog rings out, cut the wire, bend it, weld it back in, and try not to burn up the cushion. And I thought, why don't I just bend the wire while it's in there? So what I did, snapped a pair of vice grips on it, and then grabbed the vice grips with another pair of vice grips and bent it how I needed it. And then now I'll come in here and trim this chunk of cushion off, and then I should hopefully be able to hog ring everything back together, and it should look okay. I'm going to go ahead and do one side first and see. Sadly, the car isn't here, so I can't test fit it, but I think I'm going to be pretty good. Before I put it all back together, though, I will test fit it, because this is the 62 Rambler seat. As we see here, that is where I need to be. So we'll double check the fitment before I put it all back together. Well, I'd say that was some success. I might need to do a little more trimming here. Maybe this wire might need to get knocked in a little bit more, and then I can just take this, fold it, hog ring it, boom. You won't even be able to see it because it'll be behind that fender well. So I'll get started over there on that side. Okay, so here's the general idea of where everything's gonna sit. So first I bent the rod over, cut the excess foam out, just kind of pulled the upholstery down and hog ringed it back to the wire. And it sits right where it's supposed to. There's one bolt that's supposed to go in over there, but these two little pegs sit there. These corner pieces are going to need a little work. As you can see, that doesn't quite line up. If I had to live with it like that, then so be it. What I really need to do is take them. I need to get the upholstery off of them. Then I need to heat them up and kind of bend them around here and make them fit better. Alternatively, I can try to upholster that and then maybe cut them up here and just continue them, from there up. But I don't think that would look as good. So it's definitely not going to be a quick project, and with all this in there, it may not go real easy, but that's where we're at on that project. See if they were just a little longer, but they need to be twisted, and I need to cut maybe an inch out of them from about there up to bring them in. Otherwise they're going to hit the door panel here and the glass. They're just too damn big. You can see they're in the window channel. So yeah, anyway, I gotta get to work. I'm gonna be late, but I just wanted to grab that real quick so it wouldn't be weighing on my mind all day. Anyway, see ya. Okay, so yesterday I really didn't get anything done. I didn't even open the garage to work on the Rambler. I did go into town. I borrowed a trailer from my scrapyard buddy and started loading up all this junk. There was a pile of metal over here. There's still a pile of metal over there. So one thing I started doing is I cut the middles of the doors out, because I plan on using the electric window motors, trying to adapt those to the Rambler doors. So that's what I'm doing, and getting the wiring out of them and The door locks, I want to try to figure out a way to use the Honda door locks in the Rambler. If not, I'll have 2 keys, whatever. Not that big a deal. So really quick, here it is, late again. I'm gonna cut the middle of the door out, and I'm also saving the weather stripping and the window channel around, because I think for the front windows, because of the goofy shape right there, they're almost backwards. Like if you were to get rid of the wing window there, it looks like a front window. And I think, looking at this, that shape right there, I think if you took the back window here and put it in backwards, I think it would go over there on that front window. So I'm gonna save it anyway and try to adapt it. If not, I'll have to buy something down the road. Again, I am broke. So right now, I'm just gonna knock this apart and see what happens. Okay, here we got front door motor and regulator, rear door motor and regulator. Now there's a problem. I guess I should introduce it first. I want to put the Honda power windows into the Rambler door. I think it'll be really easy. I mean, this is simple. This is everything. There's no arms. There's no crap, no bullshit, no extra, nothing to worry about. You just have to attach the window track from the Rambler here or here. But here's the problem. The Rambler, as you can see, has flat glass, straight up and down in the tracks. And these are designed for curved glass. And so I'm afraid it might put the glass in a bind as the window motor is moving in and out on the bottom while that is staying rigid. I don't know if it's going to work. The back windows on the Rambler are stupid. They roll down literally between 3 and 4 inches. That's it. And so I was planning on doing all that. And then I discovered the clearance between the top of the wheel well and the top of the quarter panel. I'll show you. So as you can see there, that's the top of the fender well, and that is the top of the quarter. You've got about 6 inches total in order to mount a regulator. Let's see right there. And so, if the window only comes down that far, I mean, a quarter of the way down. And of course, the whole window is only, remember these cars have a very short roof line. The whole window is roughly a foot. So if we can only roll down 3-4 inches, I mean, that 3 inches would be good in a parking situation, but then it's also a pain in the ass to reach back here and roll the window up, roll the window down. So my original thought was to put the power windows in, and maybe if I move the regulator over, I could put it over here, but then I'd put it in a bind because it'd be pushing on one end. It needs to be in the middle. There isn't really any space for any kind of a window regulator. So okay, then I can just leave the window liners in there. Well, one, I don't know if they even work. Two, one of them is out of this 61 and the other is out of the 62, which means I've got 2 different window cranks because the 61 had a square shaft and the 62 had a spline shaft. And I don't think the handles look the same. But that's not really the problem. It's just a lot of work for just a little bit of movement. 90% of the time, I'm going to be driving this. But even if we're on a road trip, rolling the window down that much isn't going to make that much of a difference. So I think what I'm going to do is fix the windows in place. So seal will go in there, probably a Honda part, recycled. and I'll push the window all the way up, and I'll rig up some kind of a bracket to go between the bottom of the glass track, or the, you know, the little tray that attaches to the regulator. So instead of having a regulator there, it'll have like a piece of angle iron bolted to it, and then bolted either to that, or bolted, probably better, to the panel that goes on the inside, which I'll have to reuse. I'll just take the regulator off of it. I think that's what I'm going to do, and these windows will just be fixed in place. I'm not 100% sure. There was a business coupe version of this car. It did not have a back seat. It had a tray, just, you know, panel. I don't know if those windows rolled up or not. I do know that a lot of old cars, business coupes, the back windows didn't roll down. And you can see how high those come. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to fix the windows in place. They're not going to roll up or down. So that gives me a choice on regulators. So this one's much more robust than that one. Obviously the front windows are bigger. Obviously they're going to get used more than the back windows. For my application though, it might be better for me to use the rear one. Now the motor and the gear all look the same. Cable looks the same. It's not any bigger or smaller. It's just the track. And so this is probably the wrong side. Actually, I'm sure it's the wrong side. This is the passenger side, the back window. So the window only goes up and down so far. Again, low roof line. This is where this would attach to this track on the window. So what I would do is bolt the angle iron to that, or just a strap, piece of flat bar to that. And so that would put us there, and put the bottom there. So this is plenty long enough to run that window up and down. And I think this, if I wanted to try to straighten it, would, I think you could probably straighten this out easier than trying to straighten this out. And I don't think you're going to be able to straighten them out completely. I think you can get them straight-ish. So here is the front. Actually, that's backwards too. This is passenger side as well. And this is where it attaches. And it attaches kind of weird. I think I can drill that hole out and it'd be okay, but it would drop it down further. So this, you'd be roughly there. And so it'd be quite a bit longer. But there's enough room in that door to have it. And so, regardless of which, I think they would both work. I do need to double check though on the driver motor, because it might be different, being, you know, it has the automatic down, automatic up, where everything else is manual. I don't know, but I'm going to try to see if I can't maybe take some of that bow out of there, straighten them out a little bit, and see what happens. Just a little. Anyway, that's where we're at. So I just gave it a try, and I had some mild success here. It's a lot straighter than it was. Now, over here at the end, it's still got the curve in it. I'll need to roll this down and kind of work this a little bit. I got to be careful though, because there's pulleys and stuff here. I haven't even tried that yet. I'm not even going to mess with it tonight, but I think so. I think I can do that. I think I can make that work. Okay, this is the corner of the back seat. Goes there between the cushion and the side. Had to trim it, make it clear, the back panel there and the C-pillar. I had to heat it up, put a twist in it. It got a little too hot, but I don't think that'll show up very well. If it does, I'll pull it back apart and Bondo it, whatever. I might still have to do more with it, so I'm not going to glue it down yet. I'm going to go ahead and throw the upholstery back on it and see what happens. Okay, so a little progress I was making has come to a screeching halt because this just arrived. And I really, 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 really want to get on it. I have been obsessing and stressing over this project, this thing, ever since I first started trying to adapt the dashboard, to the point that it's giving me a headache. It's giving me migraines. To the point, I mean, I have searched and searched for schematics. I have looked for pinouts. I haven't found anything very worthwhile. When I did purchase this, it was actually really cheap, but I was able to talk the people into giving me the pigtail with it because it'd be a deal breaker without it. And it's not perfect, but it was cheap. You know, paint's worn through right there, and there's a crack right there in the thing, but I mean, none of this stuff is really bad. So I knew it was going to be kind of big, and it could be made to fit the dash pretty easily, but it would fit so much better right there, just like that. And there would actually be clearance between the console. There's a little panel that went, you know, the dashboard connected to the console. There's a little panel in there that had the power port, and it had a blank off, which was actually the factory fog light switch location, which my cruise control switch will snap right into it. And then it had a little pocket, and then cup holders, and the rest of the console. And it only comes to about right here. And so that thing will take up that gap beautifully. And of course, I'll have to get in there and make little filler panels and upholster them and do all that kind of stuff. But right now, I'm going to go grab my schematics that I made. Okay, so nobody makes a pinout. I had to make a pinout myself. And I had to almost guess on that one because all I had was this eBay picture of a pigtail. So I tried to go off of that picture. We're going to find out here real quick just how far off I was. My thought is this. My hope is that the 2003 Honda CR-V, 2001 Honda Civic, both the next generation of those vehicles. The 2001 CR-V is the old generation, so my hope is that with this, you know, this yellow wire with a black tracer, whatever function it does on the CR-V is the same as this car. And so far, what schematics I have found, that's how they work. So red, and then red with a black tracer for illumination. I think power is white with a blue tracer. Ground is black. That kind of stuff. And like on the Courier, the Mazdas, that's kind of how they are. The green wires are typically white. Like if you're dealing with the combination switch, turn signal switch, green wires are typically wipers. Blue wires are heat. Red wires are lights, you know, and it seems to be that way across the board. So I'm really hoping that that's what we run into, and I didn't just waste this time and money doing this. The idea here is to pull these wires out of the connector. I think they call it depinning, but anyway, pull these wires out of the connector, find the corresponding wire in here, pull it out of that connector, snap it into that one. Now we're going to end up with some redundant wires because the Civic uses two different HVAC panels. So you've got fan, you've got mode, and you've got temperature, and then you have recirculate, air conditioning, and rear defrost. But with the CRV, you've got fan, temperature, mode, and then you got defroster, AC, and recirculation, which is why I wanted to go with this. Because one, it's symmetrical, and everything's in one unit. I don't have to have 2 units, and then that one's got that kind of arc to it, and I'd have to turn it sideways. And like these, I could put over here because Nash had that weird obsession with putting their HVAC controls on the left side. And it would have been kind of cool, but trying to make it all work together would have been a nightmare. So I'm really hoping that when I do this, turn the key, and then it functions like it's supposed to. If it doesn't, or if it fries, I'll have to go back and just use what I've got. But I really honestly think it was. Every picture I could find showed the exact same heater box between the CRV and the Civic. The blend door actuators, all the actuators were the same. The fan motor's the same. All that stuff's the same. The pictures are the same. The pictures even have the same little Honda part number on them. All that's the same. So I'm really hoping, and I'm fairly confident that this is all the same. But we'll see. Alrighty. I got these things repinned. There's a problem though. I haven't tested it yet. But this is the connector that goes to this. And as you can see, I didn't pull anything out of it. So, I don't know, unless there's some redundancy in any of those wires. I don't see how that's going to work. I mean, there are some, I figured there would be, I mean, as far as I can tell, there's 1 or 3 or 4 wires for the function. You've got the AC compressor, you've got the rear defogger, you've got the recirculation actuator, and there might be like a signal back feed to turn on the lights. But then you're going to have power, ground, switched power, and then your lights, your illumination lights. So you've got 9 wires here. I don't know about the plugging in though. We're gonna find out. Start seeing smoke, popping fuses. I don't know. And then try to put it all back. I doubt it. Okay, that needs to get flipped over. Easier to flip this over. Okay, so far no smoke. I don't know if I'll be able to check the lights inside of it because I don't have the gauge cluster in it, and the rheostat to adjust the brightness is in the gauge cluster itself. Okay, I just heard one of the actuators move. Okay, that seems to be working. I don't know if you can hear it. Max AC just turned on the recirculation light. So that's working. Okay. Temperature door is working. Fans are working. That's working. That probably isn't going to work because the AC doesn't work. It needs to be charged and everything. And that's working. So far, everything's working. Wow. And I'll probably have to put the gauge cluster back in. Yeah, okay. We'll give that a try. And there we have it. As you can see, it is lit up. Hell yeah. I wish there was a way I could verify that the AC is working. But we never know. All right. I am going to call it a night. Like I said, I am very happy about where we're at. We got a good, big success in this, and now we can move on. I'm just still a little, I wonder why. Yeah. I wonder why none of those were hooked up to anything. All right. Anyway, that's it. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay, it's Thursday. My last day until I have to go back to work tomorrow. I've got this metal 1-inch strips. Cost me $33. I mean, I couldn't tell you anything about it other than it's not really scrap. There's a metal company here. They build steel buildings mostly, and so this was a corner, like a 90-degree corner piece, and one end was bent, so they'd never used it. But essentially, it's brand new, and I couldn't tell you what gauge it is, but it's the right size. So I took the flapper disc and took all the paint off of it, on one side anyway. Got rid of that sharp edge. And what I'm doing with it, it's not very consistent there. What I'm doing with it, I'll show you. So, you can't get a window gasket for this car. You can get one for the front. They're about $400. But it's only for the cars that have the chrome lock strip in there. It won't work without it. I don't have a chrome lock strip. The car that I took the dashboard out of, the 4-door, out at the farm, it did, but it was mangled. And it got more mangled pulling the gasket to get the dash out. One of the cars out at the junkyard does have an intact seal, but I mean, that's $400 I don't have. And then how long is it going to last before it starts leaking? It leaks right out of the box. So, I know a lot of you guys probably already know where I'm going with this. The window will just fall right into that hole. I think you probably could just get the universal H-shaped window gasket that they use on buses and stuff. I think that would work. But 1 inch is about minimum. Weld it in place here all the way around. And then I can use urethane to glue the window in. You know, like modern cars. The front, I believe the glass will actually sit on the edge, so I only need about a 1/2 inch. I may just go the full inch. Because it'd be a lot more of a pain in the ass to try to trim it. But so that's what I'm doing. I've always wanted to do this like on the Cricket, because the windshield gasket's hard to get. The back glass is really hard to get. And they don't last. And they leak. They always leak. They leak since day one. So I've always wanted to weld up the opening and then urethane in the glass. And I can get the little rubber strip that goes around to look like the molding. But, so if this doesn't come out real well, I'm not that worried about it. I want to do this on the Cricket wagon, on all the windows, because you cannot get the back glass at all. Nobody makes it, and especially the 2-quarter windows, you cannot get. I had a good friend of mine in England send me some decent ones that I was going to use. What I was going to do is get them put in, mask everything off, clean everything, and then take the urethane and a finger and work it into the glass, into all the little cracks, and then take saran wrap or visqueen, probably visqueen, cut it into strips, put it over the top of it, and work it down and leave it so that it'll dry smooth, and then maybe shave it with an X-Acto knife or whatever. But that was going to be my fix. If I can do this confidently, then I'll do it on that Cricket when I do that body swap. And if it comes out, then I'll do it on the wagon. But this is my practice run. So I have to pull all this interior out. I got to pull this stuff out of the back. But for now, I'm going to get these strips cut. And I need to get the area prepared. So I got to get the belt sander in here and clean all that up. And you can see these edges aren't real smooth. So, like here, these spot welds are bent in. I need to get the hammer and dolly and straighten it out. And then I need to take the belt sander and get that as flat as possible. And then tack weld all this in. I'll take the seats out, tack weld it, and then when I go to weld it, I'll take everything out. But that's where we're at. Alrighty, here we are with this piece. Don't look at the welds too hard. This magnet sucks. That's why you don't buy things from Harbor Freight, I guess. I still buy things from Harbor Freight. Alright, so I got this piece for the top, which is going to be a lot harder because gravity's working against me up here. And for whatever reason, I don't know why it cut like that. I had it marked. I cut right along the mark. This top edge is much, much rougher. Yeah, I need to find some clamps to hold those in place. I'll also mark this out where it needs to be cut for the back seat. Let me go find some clamps. Okay, as you can see, it is dark. And this is where we're at. I was gonna leave it, but I've decided I want to put something in the corners here. So I'll weld little triangles in, and then I'll use the belt sander to kind of grind a curve out. I got that, I don't know what the hell you call it, but it just kind of, it's a metal, kind of like a spring, and then it just slides on over there and locks on. I've got some of it, or I'll get some more and just go around it and then glue it. I've checked the glass alignment and it's going to be fine. A friend of mine's got moldings, so I can get that. I do need to grind down that weld and put some etch primer on it. Call it good. But that's it for tonight. Next week, I will jump on the windshield. I'll get this piece cut out and start working on everything else. Get back on the back seat. Get it all put in the way it's supposed to, the little latches and everything in the back here. And if any of you out there are walking around a pick apart and you have the means and you come across a 2001 through 2005 Honda Civic Coupe, if you wouldn't mind grabbing me the sill plates that go on the rockers here, because the two-door will work to cover up this nasty opening. Let me get you a flashlight. Anyway, so the two-door sill plate comes all the way from up here back to about here, and it'll cover all that. And there's the Rambler sill plate. So if you find some, I don't care what color they are, although gray, black will be the best. But if you can buy them, let me know. I'll send you the money. Ship them out to me. Yeah. I've also decided I'm going to not put power windows in the back. I'm not even going to put regulators in the back. They're going to be fixed. And so that will allow me also to find a coupe power window switch, master switch, which only has 2 buttons on it, taking up a lot less space in my console. But that's for the future. For right now, I'm going to put everything away and go sit inside because my knees are killing me. Good night.